Hello everyone, it's time for another MTG PREMODERN archetype. After black-white variants, we'll go through another deck with plenty of discard effects, Pit Rack. This deck is based on hand disruption, fueled by Bottomless Pit and Hypnotic Specter, so you can deal inevitable damage with the rack and flying creatures, while keeping your opponent's options limited. This is clearly a budget deck, other than maybe Cursed Scroll and Wasteland, a deck that sometimes wins local tournaments. On the bigger stage, you rarely see this deck performing well. I think, however, this is also due to low usage and suboptimal deck building. So right now I'm showing two trusty deck lists. So Monoblack deck starts with Dark Ritual, Hypnotic Specter, Duress. These cards are always going to be there. Namesake cards for the rack, for Bottomless Pit. So the creatures are 4 Ravenous Rats, 3 Skittering Skirge, 4 Hypnotic Specter. I think 3 Skittering Skirge is the exact number. You don't want 4 because the drawback is heavy. Ravenous Rats makes Cabal Therapy better, so 4 Cabal Therapy join the deck list at the 1 CMC cost along with Duress. 2 Cursed Scroll. This is extra damage, it deals with creatures. So Pit Rack usually plays 2 or 3 copies of Cursed Scroll. Then some removals, 2 Smother, 1 Snuff Out, and last spell, 1 Phyrexian Furnace. This is clearly a flexible slot. The mana base for Mishra's Factory, which is also more material for Cabal Therapy. For Wasteland, dealing with non-basic lands and destruction is very useful for this archetype, keeping your opponent's options limited. Finally, 15 Swamp. There are other options in the mana base, Dust Bowl, Cabal Pit. Then many Pit Rack decks use inefficient discard spells, Funeral Charm, Chain of Smog. These are cards that leave the choice in your opponent's hands. Diabolic Edict, same thing. I think this deck list is better because it doesn't use these cards. More mid-deck options, Plog Spitter, Infest for crowd control, Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, you empty your hand very quickly with this archetype, so Ensnaring Bridge is going to protect you from attacks. Mishra's Bauble, thinning your deck, Innocent Blood, Vendetta, Grafted Skullcap for extra drawing, Phyrexian Arena, same thing, but you don't have life gain in this deck, so it's dangerous. This is more of a sideboard option here, and this deck doesn't play impactful removals anyway. Black-white uses Vindicate, so once your opponent is left with no cards in hand and you have Bottomless Pit, this archetype is just looking for more copies of the rack so it can close the game. That's all you're looking for. Maybe land destruction would support your plan, which means splashing white most likely for Vindicate. The problem with Vindicate, obviously, the mana base, no fetch lands. Mind Slicer is great with Cabal Therapy and Innocent Blood, so I'm going to show a dedicated deck list later. In the sideboard we have 4 Engineered Plug for tribal decks, 2 Gloom and 2 Dystopia. These cards are great against white, and Dystopia helps against green as well. 2 Phyrexian Negator and 2 Withered Wretch. More creatures, Phyrexian Negator hits hard when your opponent cannot deal damage to creatures. Withered Wretch is going to eat your opponent's graveyard. 1 Cursed Totem, stopping combos. And finally, 1 Snuff Out, 1 Smother. More removals against creatures like Terravor, Goblin Lackey, Phyrexian Dreadnought. Other options for the sideboard. In spite of using just 1 color, there are many valuable options for the sideboard. Zuran Orb, Speed in Darkness against Sly, Powder Keg, Perish, destroying every green creature, Contagion, Plug Speeder, Plug Bearer, Graveyard Hate, Tormod Script, Phyrexian Furnace, Planar Void. So, the Pit Rack Mind Slicer deck list: 4 Plug Speeder, 3 Skittering Skirge, 2 Mind Slicer, 4 The Rack, 3 Cursed Scroll, 4 Funeral Charm, 4 Dark Ritual, 4 Duress, 4 Innocent Blood, 2 Cabal Therapy, 4 Bottomless Pit, lands, 12 Swamp, 4 Mishra's Factory, 4 Wasteland, 1 Cabal Pit, 1 Dust Bowl. So this deck is really based on board control thanks to Plug Speeder. No Hypnotic Specter, so you're really looking forward to discarding your opponent's hand all at once, and your end as well, but that's fine, with Mind Slicer. Maybe you might want even more than just 2 copies of Mind Slicer. In the sideboard, 4 Engineered Plug, 3 Withered Wretch, 2 Spinning Darkness, 2 Powder Keg, 2 Dystopia, 1 Diabolic Edict, 1 Dust Bowl. So Pit Rack players, let me know about your experience with this archetype. Thanks for watching and see you soon.